So, imagine this. You're Netflix. You've just signed a multi-million-dollar content deal with Meghan Markle, thinking you've landed the jackpot. The royal drama, you sign a deal expecting gold. The fanfare, the fame, the subscriber spike. Netflix wanted authenticity, something raw, gripping, and unforgettable. Instead, they got a PR wildfire. It was all supposed to be a heartfelt, intimate docuseries. With Love, Meghan. An inside look at life after the palace, filled with philanthropy, pain, resilience. The pitch? Award bait. The reality? A carefully staged soap opera wrapped in faux sincerity. First warning sign. A touching scene at a literacy center, Meghan reading to wide-eyed children. Except, those wide eyes belong to child actors. The volunteers? Her own staff, costumed as community members. Even the donations shown on camera? Quietly returned when filming wrapped. Every element, the lighting, the sound design, the background laughs. Staged. Scripted. Fake. And when it leaked, Netflix execs hit the panic button. They weren't just embarrassed. They were furious. Because this wasn't what they bought into. This wasn't truth. It was pageantry disguised as pain. A breach of every documentary code in the book. Then came the legal landmine. A segment, allegedly written by Meghan herself, accusing a senior royal of emotional abuse during her pregnancy. Raw, vulnerable, explosive. But there was a problem. No documents. No confirmations. No witnesses. Just her word. And Netflix? Left holding the bag, wondering if they just bankrolled fiction. Dressed up as fact. Netflix's legal team reviewed the footage, and their verdict was swift. Absolutely not. The segment accusing a senior royal? Flagged. Defamatory. Pulled before it could spark an international legal inferno with Buckingham Palace. But by then, the damage was already done. The trust was gone. The cracks were visible. And behind the scenes, it was chaos. Reports started dripping out, anonymous, but consistent. Crew members. Editors. Assistants. Each whisper painting a darker picture. Meghan, they said, was everywhere. Micromanaging camera angles. Rewriting scenes minutes before rolling. Shutting down any voice that questioned her vision. One editor confessed. She told us to cut anything that didn't make her look powerful or graceful. Challenge that? You're out. It was no longer a documentary. It was a brand management campaign. And it turned the set toxic. Netflix had to bring in conflict resolution specialists, yes, actual professionals. Just to hold things together. But it was too late. Morale flatlined. Staff quit. Some refused to return for season 2, calling the whole thing a royal ego trip in disguise. Then came the next emotional twist. A scene so delicate, it could have been a moment of real vulnerability. Meghan. Sitting alone in her living room. Cradling one of Archie's toys. Tears slowly falling. The lighting soft, the silence heavy. It looked real. It felt real. But was it? You thought you were watching a documentary. Raw. Honest. Maybe even tear-jerking. But nope, that tear. Added in post. That lighting? Digitally enhanced. That scene of Meghan holding Archie's toy and crying in the soft morning light? Manufactured like a microwavable sob story. Performing arts. One poor editor confessed, we weren't capturing emotion, we were installing it. Netflix took one look and realized, this wasn't a docuseries. This was the Real Housewives of Buckingham, with better lighting and worse ratings. Chart decreasing flash forward to release day, with Love, Meghan drops like a royal mic. Clicks? Sure. Curiosity? Absolutely. But by episode 3, the curiosity turned into cringe. Viewer retention plummeted faster than Buckingham Palace's patience. Social media? Fire on fire, fake, scripted, polished to death. Even the die-hard defenders of Meghan hit pause and said, "Wait, what is this?" And Netflix? They were watching the analytics like a heart monitor flatlining. One critic hit it best. "Right, anger bubble, this isn't a documentary. It's a one-woman stage show where Meghan plays her own misunderstood hero. Performing art's brutal, but fair." Then came the nuclear memo bomb, straight from Netflix's top floor. "We can no longer treat Meghan Markle as an asset. She is a reputational liability." Ouch. Skull. The memo called for a full stop on any future Meghan content. Legal teams were told to scrub every second of footage for defamation landmines. Damage control mode? Activated. The vibe inside Netflix? Less Hollywood, more panic room. The Meghan experiment wasn't just a swing and a miss. It was a glitzy, PR-tinted cannonball into brand embarrassment. And just like that, the Meghan experiment officially backfired. And this time, it wasn't just about the money. It was legal. Dangerous legal. One of the biggest red flags? Footage of Meghan's kids, Archie and Lilibet, splashed across trailers as intimate, personal, authentic. But once Netflix's legal team started peeling back the curtain? Police car light, no release forms. Police car light, no verified locations. Police car light and, wait for it, no confirmation if the children on screen were even her real kids. Cue the full-blown compliance meltdown. Whispers started, were those stand-ins? Was this just more staged fantasy posing as family life? In an industry with ironclad child protection laws, this wasn't just sloppy, it was radioactive. Legal ordered those scenes pulled immediately. And from that point on, any future child appearance had to go through full legal lockdown. What was meant to be heartwarming turned into a legal landmine. Firecracker. But what really stung? Who refused to show up? This was supposed to be a star-studded affair. Netflix banked on Meghan's A-list inner circle. Oprah, Serena Williams, Tyler Perry, even Michelle Obama. But one by one, they ghosted. Some went quiet. Others cited creative differences. Behind the scenes, it was clear. No one wanted their name on a glorified PR parade. Word spread quickly in Hollywood. Meghan wasn't just difficult. She was impossible. Directors couldn't direct. Writers couldn't write. Editors couldn't edit. Scripts were rewritten mid-shoot. Scenes cut on a whim. Any pushback? Shut down instantly. One insider called it a documentary by dictatorship. Didn't matter how seasoned the team was. Meghan ran the show. If she didn't like the direction, she changed it. Period. Clapperboard scissors. Netflix executives, now in hindsight, admit it. They handed her the reins. What was supposed to be a collaborative masterpiece turned into a one-woman image-crafting crusade. And the cost? Not just millions. Netflix's credibility was on the chopping block. But the final blow came from inside the castle. ICE post-production editors began seeing a pattern. This wasn't just a story with emotional moments. It was saturated in emotional manipulation. Not subtle. Not suggestive. Calculated. Engineered. Inserted. It wasn't just a few tweaked scenes. The emotional manipulation? It was baked into the DNA of the entire show. Editors came forward. Scene after scene had been manufactured, not captured. Artificial lighting. Inserted voiceovers. Background scores written to fake tension, to pull tears out of thin air. It wasn't storytelling. It was stagecraft, smoke, mirrors, and high-res trickery. Clapperboard, the most damning scene? That infamous clip of Meghan sitting with Archie's toy, crying over the pressures of motherhood. Soft piano. Tearful narration. Heartbreak in high definition. But the raw footage? Silent. Neutral lighting. No tears. Not even a hint of sadness. Everything, the emotion, the music, the meaning, had been stitched together in post-production. We weren't documenting her journey, one editor said. We were fabricating one. But then, the final domino fell. Firecracker plagiarism. One of Meghan's most emotional monologues, a story about racial profiling at a grocery store, didn't come from her lived experience. It came from Reddit. A 2017 viral post, word for word, detail for detail. Internet sleuths pounced. Side-by-side comparisons exploded across social media. It wasn't a fluke. Fact-checkers dug deeper, and they struck gold. More stories. More borrowed metaphors. More truth pulled from blogs, message boards, and think pieces, repackaged as Meghan's own. To a platform like Netflix, built on original storytelling? This was a line-crossing scandal. They weren't just embarrassed. They were deceived. And they weren't the only ones. Chart decreasing that same quarter, Netflix subscriptions dipped by 200,000. Viewers walked away. Loyalists began asking hard questions. Shareholders demanded answers. How could something this messy, this unauthentic, make it through so many levels of review? Internally, the mood turned ice cold. What was once called a brand partnership had become a brand emergency. Meghan's public image? Radioactive. Sponsors pulled back. Celebrity friends went silent.